could solely cause a run on the bank by yourself if you pull all your money out at one time and everybody wants to know why you're doing that. So there are things like that that you have to consider once you have that much money in that much many different places. But it's easier to think of your money in percentages than it is to think of it as a lump sum. All right. So, for example, normally the advice is to take the lump sum payment up front so you can do what you got to do with the money you have, right? So it doesn't matter what type of lottery you win. If you win small lottery or large lottery, you take the lump sum. You can always apply the percentages to that amount and still come up with something uh,
A workable plan.
usable. hmm so that's why we're thinking percentages would be an easier way to go. I always say you have any sort of winnings, any sorts of thing, you take 5% of it, 5% of it immediately, 5% of it goes into something for your personal enjoyment.
Well, wait, the
Just
gross or the
whatever you
net?
want to do. I would say 5% of the ooh of the gross.
Ooh, that's the.
Um,
So let's back up a second. Let's do the easy thing. We've never gone through the outline, and let's go ahead and figure out what we're working with first. So
Do we
all
want
right,
to
go
do
ahead.
some short definitions of what gross and net are in this terminology?
I was getting ready to go to that, but you beat me to the punch, Brother Wolf. So how about you take that away?
The gross is the overall amount that you have. The net is the actual amount that you have after taxes.
The takeaway, yeah.
Yeah.
and
There's
and other expenses.
yeah. So as such, we have to figure out what the gross and the net is going to be, depending on what the amount is, and then how we go ahead and
Are any either of my brothers aware of what the percentage is, at least if you win the lottery in the state of Louisiana, that the state takes?
too much. Final answer. I'm not wrong.
You're not
Off the
wrong.
top of my head,
I believe it's
I think the
55.
state. No, that's the total tax. That's the total tax. That's what you're on the hook for total tax wise. That's state and federal. From
Yeah,
what I remember, it's state is something like 20, and
right.
federal is like
If federal is
35.
30, so it's actually 50%. Unless they changed it, they may have changed it. But but I do know when we originally were researching this topic in the year 2022, we were researching it, and it was 50% then. It may have gone up by
Yeah.
5% since then, but I was just going ahead and saying that.
Yeah. So let's do the easiest thing, guys. We have to figure out for the lottery what amount or do we want to have, so that way we know what to work with. Are we working with 10,000, 100,000, a mil? Oh, excuse me, I didn't say it correctly. A milli. Are we doing 10 million, 100 million? Or are we doing that vaunted unnecessary GDP number of a billion? Well, what are we doing? I'm voting for
I mean,
I'm voting for a million because that seems likely, and it's also an athlete number, for lack of a better term.
I'm gonna go with this. The Powerball jackpot minimum bet jackpot is $20 million. The minimum jackpot you have for Mega Millions is $40 million. So if we go with the minimum jackpot you can win, because if you played Powerball one day, somebody had won it the drawing before, and you win it the next one on the next drawing, $20 million gross is what's coming towards you,
Okay,
right?
that's a fair statement. Well, what you say about that one, Brother Wolf?
Yeah, I was just looking up real quick what the average is as far as lottery winnings are concerned. Um,
It recently has been crazy because of how large some of the most recent lotteries have been. I mean, within the last 5 years, we've had 3 or 4 lotteries reach $1 billion.
I know. I cried when they were won. I cried. Oh, look, Cal gonna take me away. I could have used all that shit.
I don't know, man. The one of the first ones that reached $1 billion, the split by 3 different winners, and one of the winners was dead within a month. So
Okay, I'm not him or her or whatever.
I'm just saying,
Brother Wolf,
if
you
you don't
okay?
have the right mindset, getting that much money is crazy to you.
So are we
It's
going to
crazy
agree with
making, at least.
10 million, 20 million, 25 million? We're obviously doing tens of millions. So which one are we doing?
Let's draw the the middle of the two lowest, and let's do 30 million.
30
Like
million?
you won, yeah.
You agree with that, Brother Wolf?
That works.
Okay. So we're saying we have won $30 million. Uh,
Right.
so the next important question here, or the next step in this lottery game, the identity reveal. Brother Wolf, I know you had comments on this one. Take it away. Yeah, no, go on, go on.
So in the state of Louisiana, you have to reveal the fact that you won the lottery. So that's step one. Step two, we all have those people who will not be quiet about you winning the lottery. If at all possible, you want those people to be I don't know what the terminology is. Metaphorically muzzled when it comes to the lottery.
So what you're saying is you want? Oh no! He's being Dwayne right now. You want them to know their role and shut their mouth. That's what he's trying to say.
There are some people who you cannot avoid telling that you won the lottery to, and those people you want to minimize the damage as much as possible. And then there are other people who you can avoid telling that you won the lottery to, and those people you do not want to tell you won the lottery to. And that is my answer for that. That's my 70, Johnny.
And his index finger is out, not his pinky, as he's drinking.
Oh my! So
well, this is like a whiskey. So
no, this is a scotch.
oh, it's a scotch.
It's a scotch. It's technically
So
a whiskey, but yes.
I use this finger for the scotch. Then.
I hate his guts so much sometimes. In any case, Rev Ross, you were saying something.
So you do have to fill out a form for tax purposes, right? That puts you as the person who is going to be a beneficiary. But if you go ahead and plan this out, you don't have to connect yourself directly with the lottery, and you can also show up in various sorts of dress or anonymously dressed when they take all the rigmarole of you winning the lottery, right? One of the ways you can protect yourself is by setting up a trust. Um,
And so, vocabulary
and
time. What's a
that way
trust?
you can. All right. Ooh.
You want to talk about it, you got to be about it.
So basically, you're starting a trust fund, basically, right? Um, and I am so a trust is like I don't want to. It's like so. I'm doing the actual meaning right now.
You telling
Right.
me you didn't do your homework?
Legal arrangements that allow individuals to place assets in a special account to benefit another person or entity. You can also so you can set up a trust where you are one of the trustees. All right. So that's why you can set up a trust where you are one of the people that are being taken care of in the trust.
Yes.
Right. And it can be really complex. Right. And you definitely will have to get an attorney before claiming the winnings. Now, good thing is you have 30 days to claim your winnings. So that's one thing. So you can get everything in order and claim your winnings uh, within 30 days. After 30 days, then you don't have those winnings anymore.
You forfeit them.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, and I would argue that if the night you would hear the drawing that you got the winning lottery ticket, the very next day you would probably call into work, call for a lawyer,
Probably.
sit down and figure out. Call a lawyer and sit down and figure out how you're going to figure this thing out. get a lawyer, get some sort of attorney, and usually one based in finance. So you can go ahead and they can help you with by setting you up with an accountant as well, and y'all sit down and hammer out some stuff to figure everything out, right? And since it's if it's a like I said, 30 million, you're gonna wind up walking with about half of that.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
At
You jumping the
15
gun? You jumping the gun, boss?
I'm sorry. I apologize.
You got to say what a
Anyway,
trust
so
is
hey,
and why we use a trust, not what we're taking.
all right,
You're going way too far.
so what we so I'm sorry, I apologize. We're using the trust because when you go to pick up the lot of your winnings, the trust is going to be the one to claim them. So when they fill out that information form of who's going to be claiming these winnings, it's going to be the trust with you listed as one of the trustees, right? And so they're going to say the name of the banking association is here to pick up the winnings of whatever it is, to and to be held in trust, and they'll be able to do that without directly revealing who you are.
And who gets to see
But as long
who gets to see who the board of trustees are? Who gets to see who the executor is? Who has access to that information, Rev?
all of that information should be closed with just you between you and the lottery officials, because that's a lot of personal tax information that is usually not made public.
Just making sure
Now,
we're clear.
if someone does something skullduggerous, that's between you and that lawyer that you hired, right? But as far as I understand it, um, setting the trust up is one of the better ways to protect yourself
Fair enough. I agree with that.
in that
So
situation.
so let's pump the brakes for half a second. So we know we've arguing we got 30 million. So we got to try to figure out what we're going to do with it. We can go ahead and just show up on TV as Joe Blow and say we won the lottery, and there's problems associated with that because if you're worth a certain amount of money, some places because of insurance purposes won't employ you. That's one thing that a lot of people forget
Yes.
about. That because you're worth this
Mhm.
much money, I'm not going to have you working and go ahead people coming after you through me. No, I'm not going to do that. So a lot of people, some people don't realize this, but you have to quit your job just because some people won't take that chance.
Now, also mentioning businesses, this is something that I saw on the internet the other day, which is the fact that there's a growing number of people that actually form a LLC in order to disguise their winnings. They have their LLC actually claim the amount of money that they won from the lottery instead of themselves.
Yeah, just another entity, whether it be a trust, a corporation, an S corp, however it is. There are some people who will have a they won't be the individual claiming it directly. They'll use some sort of quote unquote agency.
And that'll block from anything like a job or something saying, hey, because you got this money, that means that at that point, no, my LLC has that money. And then,
Like I say, that has nothing to do with me. That's a different entity.
right.
So moving on to the one that Rev was jumping the gun for, and the one that everybody knows the answer, but I don't believe it is one size fits all. Do we do an annuity or do we do a lump sum? Brother Wolf, what say you?
Personally, my answer probably would differ from my two brothers, and there's a reason why I say that. But actually, I would personally prefer to do the annuity than the lump sum. The thought of being able to have a constant influx of money, even though I will be paying, of course, taxes on that money, but that income combined with my regular income, and the fact that I don't have it all at once in order to be targeted in that way, and with my particular situation, I think it is it would make a logical sense to me.
I understand and I agree with that. What say you, Rev?
This is a judgment call based on how much of it is, how big the lottery is. I'm not gonna lie to you. Um,
So, based on
So
the fact that we said 30 million, what do you think?
30 million,
30 million as the
I
gross.
take the most. 30 million as the gross is what yeah, I would probably take the lump sum at 30 million. When it gets higher up, annuities annuities it feels easier to manage when you start dealing with ridiculous amounts of money, um, like hundreds of millions of dollars at a time. Uh, so especially if it's like the last lottery that got real big when it was almost $2 billion, and the winners were walking with $1 billion split between them. Like, I don't think people realize exactly how much money that is. Like, conceptually wise, I don't think they realize how much money that is. Um, and it's if a single person were to walk with them, just become a billionaire from the lottery, then that's like the annuity would have to be. But the problem with annuity is this, right? Annuities get affected by uh, the interest rate,
I agree
right?
with that.
So the way the Fed manipulates interest rate affects your annuity. So you could lose money if we go into economic bust or boom, depending on where on what side of it you were on when you won your lottery.
Okay.
Uh,
Doesn't
so
that
that's something to be aware with, and that means the, basically that means if you feel have faith in the standard of the federal government, not not messing with interest rates for the next couple of years, or not in a way that would directly affect how much money you would take home, then you can go ahead and do annuity. But again, with how large it is, with how large some of the largest lotteries have gotten, you might want to look at those and go lump sum as well. Just because of that. That's what I'm saying is I would make a judgment based on the feds at the time and how much the lottery was. And if they've already adjusted interest rates, I would talk with my accountant that I've already hired, right? And get with them about whether or not taking the annuity would be best, considering how they've adjusted the interest rates at the time. Because I'm not really good with, I'm good with very simple basic math, really good with that type of stuff. But when you start going into percentages of interest rates that affect your like tax bracket status, and it hits different as you take like certain blocks of money out, because taxes aren't just you reach a certain tax bracket and you pay this lump. As you climb through the tax brackets, you pay taxes on every lump you hit. So like so like you were just jumping from where I am to up there and having to pay taxes on all this stuff, and having to be aware of the interest rate. That I'm not good at that math. That's why I hired an accountant to begin with in the last step, and we will sit down and have that conversation and make that decision before we pick up the winnings at that time. But that I lean towards lump sums, but I'm definitely open to annuities if it is better for me fiscally because of how the feds have been manipulating interest rates.
Fair enough. Um, Now I'm going to go ahead and be the chump out of the two of you, but then I'm going to give a true final answer because there is no one size fits all option. You could be older, and therefore, if you're closer to what we would assume is the end of your life, you would want the lump sum. If you're undisciplined, you might want the annuity. If you are, if you have a lot of money already, the lump sum won't really do you anything. You'd probably go ahead and take an annuity and do that. One thing a lot of people also forget is you could play one against the other and do it as necessary. For example, if I take the annuity and then all of a sudden there is a really good business that I want to buy, I could go ahead and take a loan against future annuities to go ahead and get a lump sum out to go ahead and maneuver and make the purchase on whatever I need to do. Does that make sense?
Right.
And another
Absolutely.
and another example is if I have a lump sum, I can make annuities from that lump sum. So both are possible options for you.
Coincidentally, I just checked to see with $1 billion standardly, a lottery winning is spread out over 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes out to $2,777,777 repeater cents a month.
We going, sis. We going. I'll tell you right now, if I get $1 billion, I'm remaking Sizzler.
If you get paid $2 million a month, essentially, that's all, most of your life. 30 years is a good chunk of. I'm sorry, most of a middle-aged person's life. At 30 years is a good chunk of that life. Just getting $2 million a month, what more can you ask for? Almost.
I can answer that question. Do you want me to answer that question? Is the better point.
What more can you ask for that you can't get with $2 million a month?
Stuff that costs $3 million a month. Like you can rank clean into that one.
Why? Why would you say that? Like, why? Why did you just?
But to finish what I was saying, though, in all seriousness,
What the hell costs us $3 million a month?
the ability to slap Elon Musk.
You think Elon Musk would let you slap him each month for $3 million?
Actually, I do.
Actually, I think you're right.
But back to the lecture at hand. If you're young, you might want to take the annuity. If you're older, you might want to take the lump sum, depending on how good you are. As Rev Ross indicated, speculative percentages of economics. You know what I mean? These are things that I have an idea about, but I truly can't discern anything for. It determines how you want to do it and what's good for you. Like, imagine you are in a family with 1 billion relatives, and they all got your personal cell phone number, and they're all blowing up your phone because, hey, cuz, remember that time I loaned you $12 in the 8th grade? Nope. But you know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen.
All I'm saying is, for my LLC, I'm showing up with a pair of glasses on and a big nose. Like,
if you don't get the Groucho Marx out of here. But if I have to answer, I actually am with you, Brother Wolf. I'm taking the annuity because as a Dave Ramsey fan, one of the things he said that stuck with me is that if helicopter money falls your way, because that's what this is, and you don't know how to maneuver with large amounts of money, what are you going to do with it? Like, I can say unequivocally, I have handled upwards of $10,000 of money regularly, working in retail and so forth and so on, and service industry. I've handled that. Now, I've not owned it. I was the guardian or the custodian of it. But if all of a sudden I'm now worth $1 million a month, I'm not going to. You saw Richard Pryor and Brewster's Millions. Are you really going to be that? You're not going to be flavorful. That's the word I'm going to use.
Okay.
So, yeah. Is that a fair statement,
all right,
Rev?
so, no, that's 100% fair. Like I said, I used to not be open to annuity, but then I started reading up on it and learning like how it was like actually figured out and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, that's not that bad. Plus, like, the annuity it's not a monthly payment. It's like you get paid the same day every year, and it's just so basically it's like mini lump sums every year.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, depending on how large the amount is, that is a large sum of money to go ahead and get to do. So, case in point, if you get the annuity, let's say the annuity is $1 million. Let's just say, for argument's sake, it's $1 million, or let's say $700,000 annuity. You're telling me you can't buy most of a house and put it in escrow. You can't buy most of a car and put it in escrow. Now you got to do is eat and power the house. That's basically all you have to do. You can do that, bruh. And like I said before, because most people forget you can get a lump sum from an annuity and vice versa, there's ways to get more money. So let's do the smart thing. And now the point I think you really wanted to get to, Rev, let's talk about those taxes. We talked about it earlier, how Louisiana's taking, they're doing the Eddie Murphy route. half, just gone.
Yeah. So the tax burden for winning the lottery is ridiculous. So, like we were talking earlier, the Louisiana state's going to take about 20% out. I'm saying 20%. The exact number was like 20 something point something odd number like that, right? It's not.
22, if I remember
It's
right.
never a whole 20%,
Right.
right? Same thing with your federal amount. It's like 29 something, almost 30%. You round up either one, both of them to 20 and 30, right?
Yes.
But basically, whatever you get at the so when the lottery, so like for example, our fictional $30 million lottery, right? So the fictional $30 million lottery is really a $60 million lottery,
Well, first off,
right?
power of positivity. This is going to happen. We're going to get that 30 million. Damn it! I don't need your
All right.
negativity.
I'm gonna be like Scrooge
No, but so
McDuck.
what I'm
I'm gonna
saying
put
is-
it into
but
change
what
and
I'm-
jump in.
I hope
But
you
what,
knock
what
your
I'm
head.
saying is, what I'm saying is this, right? Your original, like it's 30 million if you take the lump sum, which is usually about half of what they do if you take the annuity. Remember, the
Boy,
annuity
I thought we
allows
said
you
it was a 30
more
million.
money as well.
Wait, back up. I thought we said it was a 30 million gross, which means we be getting about 14 to 17 million. I thought we said it was a 30 million
Oh,
gross.
if you would, okay. Cool. No, I thought we were
No,
doing.
remember we said the
I
average
looked
is
at that wrong. 30 million. All right, so 30 million gross would put that at about about 14 to 17 million dollars you would take home from the lump sum. Right, if you get the lump sum, taking the annuity allows you to have access to all 30 of those millions of dollars, but at a longer rate, and whether or not that's also a thing that we should have mentioned with the annuity and the lump sum. The lump sum will cut your things in basically half, just about, and then you still have to pay taxes on top of that.
yeah. Well,
Right.
that's why I saved it for the taxes section. That was the point, to go ahead and say,
Okay.
depending on what we choose, the taxes and fees, we'll go ahead and address that. So we weren't done. You're just jumping the gun.
I'm sorry.
It's okay as long as we win this
Right.
30 million. I think I'll forgive you.
Um, so and we got to pay taxes both state and federal on the winnings. And so with both of them, you're paying about 50%, right? So you're not walking with as much as you think you're walking with.
Agreed.
That's the
But-
crazy thing.
But that's the point, to figure out.
But it's still, look, it's still life changing money. So, like for example, our 30 million gross, right? Right. We decided to take the lump sum payment on the 30 million gross. That means that let me do some math here because I'm looking at the tax things on that right now. I told you I'm not good at the complicated stuff.
You have a calculator in front of you. You have a smartphone.
I'm on the smartphone. Hold on. I don't like.
Dear
touching stuff
Siri,
when
how
I'm-
do you?
Don't be like that.
Be like what? Use the smartphone smartly? I do find it funny you're trying to get the exact numbers. I thought part of the reason we're doing this is to ballpark it.
No, I'm trying to find out how much I'm just about how much we're paying. So between both of them, you're right. It's about 14. So you're going to walk with about $17 million, and then after taxes of the 17 million, you're going to have about 9.
Mm. That much of a drop? You just made me choke on my scotch.
Because the taxes are going to go off of the.
I was thinking that
If I'm correct on this
the
one,
taxes
are
go
going to go
off
off
of the annuity amount,
the,
the
the
overall.
gross amount, not the lump sum amount.
Right.
Pooh.
That's another reason why you would want to get the annuity, because you're paying taxes on it regardless.
And on the annuity, you'll pay your taxes every year on it instead of
All at once.
at one time. But if the tax rate is super low at that time, you might pull home more money that you can do more stuff with, and then if taxes go up while you're still getting annuity, you'll pay more taxes in the long run as well. So
Well,
that's
forget that. I'm rich. That means I'll find a way to cheat the tax code anyway, so it's good.
wow.
That's fine. I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad.
I'll call some of my famous friends and find a way in which I now have, because I have money.
I mean, once you get to once you crack that ceiling, that barrier, you're in an exclusive club. You know what I mean?
All right.
So yeah. So taxes. What did Joe Pesci say in Lethal Weapon 2? They get you in the drive-through. They get you. They get you. They get you. They get you. Yeah, taxes just got you. So be aware of how much tax is going to take. So now let's get to the fun part, the discipline part. Now that you've won this money, you now have access to things you only thought about: McLarens, Lambos, hookers, buildings. You can just go buy a building. Don't
McLaren's,
know why.
Lambos, hookers in buildings at the same time.
You could do the hooker on the Lambo in the building.
With the McLaren watching outside.
Rev, did we offend your sensibilities?
A little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
If it's the oldest profession, you know about this. Don't act like this is new, and you're not adultering.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, look, like I said, the dude that one of the winners of that first $1 billion lottery was found dead 30 days later. He apparently went on a bender for 30 days, just hookers and blow for 30 days straight.
First of all, I'm surprised he lasted that long. I mean, 30 days. I think a bender of like a full week probably would do me.
Wait. Think about it like this, though. If you have that kind of money where you can cheat the tax code and you're already doing hookers and blow, you know you're doing hookers and blow and Viagra. That poor man's heart probably bursts.
Literally.
I mean,
Poof.
But when you have that kind of money, you can buy a new heart.
You got to make it to the hospital, man.
Buy the hospital.
I see his answer for everything in the upcoming future. We are not going to let Brother Wolf win the lottery. I repeat, we're not going to let him win. He has to take the annuity.
Buy the lottery corporation.
God. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And if the government won't let you do it, guess what you do next?
He's still not wrong. That's why I'm upset.
I want to go back and amend some things real quick. Also,
Benchmark does not represent the comments that are made on this. These are the sole comments of one member of Benchmark
who was on hookers and blow at the time.
If he won that many millions of dollars.
You can go online. There are tax calculators for winning the lottery that tell you what's your state, in your state, how much you'll pay to the state and to the commission and to the feds. And so I went looking for one of those while we were talking about that to check my math, and my math was all wrong because I assumed something that me and Brother Wolf were talking about. Um, it seems like it you pay on the rate that you accept,
Okay.
right? So
All
if
right.
you get the lump sum,
That does
you'll
make a
pay
difference.
on that. But the lump sum is always going to be a reduced amount because it's a lump sum. Um, so you won't go down to 9 million. You'll wind up with 12 million because you're not paying taxes on 30. You're paying taxes on the 17 whatever it is for the lump sum, right?
Makes sense.
All right. Just wanted to clarify that. Yeah. Um, but yeah, you can look up all sorts of this all the stuff you can look up online. Go Google search it. But some of the stuff is just common sense. So back to what we were saying.
About the hookers
Pilots.
and the blow,
About buying things.
like governments and. I mean, at this point, we become the U.S. if we buy Banana Republic, right? We can buy the corporation and set one up.
Works for me.
Okay. You have to setting. You got to give this money to a bank. You have to do before you can even do any of it.
I'm giving mine to Cash App. Says half the hood.
And when you have money like that, you're not setting it up into like a single bank. You're putting this in several banking institutions because a single banking institution cannot hold that much money.
Is there some kind of rule that says a bank can't hold? I mean, I'm starting to wonder if I want to bank with a bank that can't hold
Oh,
my $30 million.
because they'll take it. It just if something happens to the bank, you're only insured for 150K of it.
I thought it was 250.
Okay.
Whatever the
Well, there we
FDIC
go.
insures.
FDIC is 250, right?
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
makes a difference. See, that's something that we should state. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. So you want to go to one of the larger banking institutions who has more insurance to hold your money, so it's more protected. But in the end, it's still not protected in the bank. You want your money in money-making vehicles because it's more protected
Whoa,
in the
assets are
business
later.
than it is.
Assets are later. You know this.
I'm
We went
sorry.
over this. You have the outline. You wrote it down.
I know. I was just mentioning it so we could, go back to it.
But yeah,
You know what I mean? It's called foreshadowing.
no.
My One Piece fans know what I'm talking about.
First off, One Piece is not a real thing.
It is an experience. Yes, correct.
You about to.
But in any case, though, going back to discipline, as goofy as we were talking about what we'll spend it on, if you compare athletes' earnings and how they go broke and so forth and so on, lottery winners are in the same boat. You go ahead and get all this money, and what I was alluding to earlier was one thing Dave Ramsey said, where you don't know, you never grew up with this money, you don't know how to manage it. So I'm a fan of the annuity just on that basis, where it forces me to be disciplined. You know what I mean? So as far as I see it, yeah, you probably can go ahead and do the lump sum thing, but can you maintain the discipline of saying no to all your family members? You know you got to buy your mom a house. You know you got to buy your wife an unnecessary ring. You know you got to buy yourself a new house and a new car. Once you do all that, then all of a sudden people are going to say, "Well, where'd you get that money from?" Now you got to do all that kind of fun stuff. Can you keep saying no? And now that you've got yourself a little drunk off that power, well, I can go out for steak dinner, steak breakfast, steak lunch, and steak snack, right? And then the money just drains, which of course alludes to the fact that this money needs to what? Maintain itself. So I believe this is the part you want to go ahead and do the most. So take it away, Rev.
So you want to put your money in financial vehicles that generate more money, right? And
I think everybody agrees
idea
with that.
is to the idea is to generate enough income so where you don't have to work anymore. Ideally, so you don't have to physically do anything. With even with, and I think the minimum calculations that we did was if you had like $2.5 million and you invested all $2.5 million into like uh, slow growth long term investment vehicles, or like you stratified it where you had like some in medium growth and some in slow growth and some in stuff like that. You you could finagle it to where you were just being paid off of the interest that was being made on those vehicles. And I'm talking about things like uh, CDs, uh, other investment accounts.
Showing your age, brother.
Well, wait, I want to
What?
know what CDs are giving some kind of worthwhile interest rate. The highest interest rate I saw
long-term
was
CDs.
4% as of recent.
Okay, so what you're trying to do is you want to stratify, so you always have a different level. So 4%, right, year over year, right? So 4% of 12 million. Put it like this: 4% of 1 million, right? 4% is like 40K.
Uh-huh.
So you can maintain the lifestyle that you currently live with having that in there. You know what I mean? By having
Uh,
that in there.
no, it's a higher rule than that. Because remember, you got to pay taxes on this money now too. You want to go ahead and be able. It used to be you could pull
But
10% down.
I'm saying that's part of the. It's not that's not the sole vehicle. What I'm saying.
Okay.
That's that's why I said stratify. You want
Well,
to have some in slow growth and some in medium growth and some quick turnover. But a lot of it you want to put in medium to long term because, well, I'm sorry, it depends on how old you are. That also takes into factor. If you're young and you win this, you want all your stuff in slow growth accounts because you got the time. You just do it. And if it's enough money, then you take a bit out of it, like a small percentage out of it, uh, between 1 and 3% as your personal walk around money, and then a lot of it you just invest. You know what I mean? Invest at least 40% of it, I would say.
fair, and I agree with that's what I want to make sure that we do understand that a CD is not the way to any sort of income.
No, not just the way I want to say. Like there are some large bearing CDs that can hold you down. You know what I mean? Especially if you need money quick.
I
You
need you
know,
to show that one to me
oh,
before I believe you, but okay.
I mean, there's some CD. Okay, I will. We'll talk. I'll look. I'll send you some links on stuff that I was
Nope,
looking at
nope.
earlier.
Send it to intern. Send it to intern so they can post it.
Okay,
Now, brother Wolf.
I'll put them to the intern.
Uh, so besides buying the government and the lottery corporation, if we're going to generate assets, how are we going to generate assets? What's some assets that are income generating that you would purchase to make sure you maintain your wealth and don't go bankrupt in 30 days?
Well, the important thing is to find different bearing accounts, whereas they give you a steady flow, but also are stable. And it really comes down to you have to look at the stocks at that time in order to find out what those particular accounts are. I can't tell you right now because I haven't looked at those particular stocks right now,
Okay.
but it's something that you would have to look at. They are when you look at things like the Wall Street Journal, the the New York,
The New Yorker.
the New Yorker. There are different newspapers like that with different financial sections that show you the current bets of stocks that if you have the money, these stocks have a I'm gonna say 95% chance of turning it into a positive income. But you just got to have the money in order to put towards them in a little bit of time.
Which is some of the things that we don't have. We're behind on our bills.
Right.
The average American can't afford a $500 downturn. If only we had. If only we had.
If only we win the $30 million lottery, then yes, these things become available to us. So it becomes, why make millions when you can make billions of dollars?
Don't you evil twiddle finger at me.
You also have to remember that like there are more vehicles for moving money around and maturing money than people realize. Like just in investing, there are more vehicles, and then with like, I mean, if you want to do the risk of it, you can get into crypto. There's all sorts of crazy stuff you can get into to try to like build your money, right? And mature it.
By
So,
small governments.
Jesus. But definitely putting money in corporations.
Did you?
I'm just saying.
Definitely putting money in the corporations helps. So put some money into whatever you think is going to be profitable over the next 30 years or whatever. Your end goal is to have your investments. All your investments need to all you need to for the return on your investments is 10% of what you invest, right? And you want to be able to live off of 5% of like half of that 10%.
That number's gone up to 8 if I remember correctly, but I get your point. And I mean,
Really?
as you go ahead.
I'm still using some numbers from last year too. So
yeah, and don't
don't
forget the other thing is that theoretically, once you buy certain things, as long as they're not luxury items, you can maintain them. So if you buy a simple starter house as opposed to the entire apartment block, you won't have as much to worry about. But if you buy the apartment block and live in the penthouse, that's theoretically an asset and it's paying for itself. So rent is not something you worry about anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So things like that. So
like you can do one or the other. You just gotta have a plan when you're doing them. Like you can sit back and buy a nice house in the suburbs, and you don't have to be like a crazy mansion. Just get you a nice 2-bedroom for the most part, and pay it off. Pay it off. You can. What's even better is you can have one of your walk around account. That's the bank you bank with. You go ahead, take a loan out versus just what you have held in. Use the bank's money to go ahead and use the bank's money to buy your house. Then you can also do like, if you're investing with that same bank, then there's so many ways. So when they play like interest rates and stuff, someone was telling me that they had this thing where they had used the bank's money to buy their properties, and then when they went to pay the bank back, they made money off of the money that they made off of the CD was enough to pay down the loan every year. So they just used the money that they would make on the CD to pay down the loan. So they just never had to pay anything except that interest on the CD. So they literally went to the bank. The bank gave them money to buy a house. They had already had CDs in the bank, and then the bank just took whatever they made on that interest out to cover the mortgage on the house, and all they had to pay was like the insurance on the house, I think, or something weird like that. So like they set it up to where they didn't really pay. They didn't pay any money. Their money didn't change. You know what I mean? It didn't grow, but it didn't go down either. You know what I mean?
yeah, but it's one of those where you're trying to stagger your asset accumulation over time, such that eventually all of your debts will diminish or completely vanish. So in the case of a loan, theoretically the loan goes away, and now you still have the CD and the asset, so you've come out on top. The problem is you need time
Yeah.
to do that.
No, you're right. That's what the only thing is that's one of these things that require you to have that already like set up in advance, to have that plan. Like I said, have that plan, and that's what you want to do.
Although I will say that I'm still kind of the Dave Ramsey fan, where it's like, even though we can do that, one wrong turn and you just spiral out of control. I'm kind of
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I'm gonna buy
absolutely.
this outright, because here's the other thing: we're talking about stuff that we know is done, but we can't speak on it well. So therefore, if
No,
I
not
can't
because we
speak,
have not done it personally.
yeah. So since I can't speak on it well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go ahead and give me that on the wall, and then I'm done. I got these 1, 2 items, and I'm good. I don't need. Well, I mean,
No, that,
I'm a simple guy as well. I don't need hookers. I need hooker.
Hey, I'm trying to eat
well,
some
that's why
steak
you
with
get
my beans
married.
and rice.
It is. I ain't even mad at it.
That's all I'm gonna do.
So
That's why you get married, so you don't have to keep paying all these different hookers. You just pay the one.
But bump.
did Rev just say that?
That was supposed to be a joke, guys. I was waiting for the womp womp womp, but apparently, and I still don't get it.
That
Wow.
one?
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
That one?
Just that one.
You're the reason we can't have nice things. Just so you know. So neither here nor there, though. But I'd say that the to do a quick rundown, we're saying be aware of your financial situation. If you can go ahead and do it, take the lump sum. Otherwise, use the annuity, the tax breaks it gives, as well as the discipline it provides. Make sure you are fine with saying no. Enjoy yourself to an extent, but realize extremism no vice, modernism no virtue. uh, be aware. Oh, the one thing we didn't talk about, but I think it's pretty obvious. Beware your fraud. So if I win the lottery, Lord forbid, I'm passing out like a Baptist woman in church. Woo! And if I come to and I still have the ticket, I'm going to lock it away. I'm going to try to not reveal myself as much as possible. And I'm going to have 3 separate entities. It's going to be a team of investors, lawyer, accountant, and they're going to come up with a plan to do my money. Whoever wins gets the quote-unquote retainer contract, and they're who I use. And they go ahead and approve, should I do this, should I not do this? And that way I've protected myself, and I have experts, because I don't know anything in the tens of millions of dollars game. I know something about the tens of dollars game, but because I have a definitive lack, I'm going to get experts to help me out. But I think there was an interview with Fat Joe where he said it best. You know, he got a call from the bank and said, we're missing some payments, what's going on? And he said he was getting ripped off by people who are accountants and smiling in nice suits, not the people from the block. So be very wary to whom you trust with this large amount of money, because absolute power corrupts absolutely. All that glitters not gold. I think we can agree with that, gentlemen.
No, absolutely. I would 100% do that, and I kind of would do in my mind. I want to do it in my mind. If I win the lottery, if I ever won a lottery, I would do it. I'd get a group, lawyers, accountants, whatever. That would be my primary group to do things, and then, unbeknownst to them, right? Totally unbeknownst to them, I just hire like a small PI firm or something like that, or a small like for what is it called? Forensic
Forensic accountant.
forensic accounting,
Some kind of
and to have
oversight.
them audit
Yeah.
to have them audit my stuff every like
Periodically.
3 to 4 months, 6 months, whatever. Once to let me know of I'm hemorrhaging money. And if I'm hemorrhaging money, I need to know why,
Fair.
because that happened with who did that happen with? It happened
Every
with Dane
millionaire, every
That
millionaire
happened
that happens, it happens
Cook.
with.
They trust certain people, and then
I mean,
those people aren't good for them to trust.
I don't know if you believe certain things by certain celebrities, but some people like Wesley Snipes said that he had people who he trusted in order to take care of his financials, and They weren't paying the things that needed to be paid.
And it went to someone else, and ended up getting in their pockets. Yeah.
And so next thing you know, he's in jail for years. And so that's the situation in which you're in. So, like you said, you gotta hire the people and hire the people to watch. Who watches The Watchmen?
Preach.
So
Preach.
that's the thing.
Man. Well, that's the weird part we're getting. Like, did you hear about the other thing that happens when there was this man who won a lottery? He was already a millionaire. He won a lottery. I remember this story. He had like he was like just a millionaire. Like he was like 3 million deep. You know what I mean? He owned a business in town. Everybody knew him. Everybody knew he was rich, and everybody was just like, okay, cool. They were cool with him being rich if the money came from his business, right? And he won like a $5 million lottery, something small, right? We say small, but I mean it's still kind of whatever. And he just kind of like added that to his money. It didn't change his life at all, but it changed the way the town interacted with him.
Yeah.
Because he had more money that came from a source that wasn't worked for. So like that made people feel like they were entitled to his money. People who had never asked him for money a day in his life started asking him for money. Family members who never asked him for money started asking him for money when they found out he won the lottery. It got so bad that his granddaughter wound up his granddaughter's boyfriend got kidnapped by some people.
What?
Because they tried to use the fact that he was connected to leverage him. And to come to find out, they were really supposed to kidnap the granddaughter, but she just never showed up to meet her boyfriend, so they took the boyfriend instead.
This sounds like a bad version of The Big Lebowski.
It's just it was all the way, all sorts of messed up. Anyway, yeah. And then the boyfriend's family sued him because it was his fault.
You need a link for
the
this now.
boyfriend got kidnapped. Huh?
You need a link for this now.
Okay, I'm gonna look it. I'm gonna look it up again. But I remember hearing this story on like a radio show or something like that, or maybe I read it on Reddit. And I think I read it on Reddit. There's a Reddit a thing. But the dude was explaining how all this stuff happened, and I was like, "Yo, lottery horror stories are crazy." Anyway, yeah, watch out for that type of stuff, man. People change when people's perception of you change. No matter how much money you make, people's perception of you is going to change if you win something, because unfortunately in America, if you win something, you didn't earn it. It's not yours.
The government is loaning it to you. I heard that on the radio earlier. Nothing you own in America is owned. It is all borrowed and loaned to you by the government.
I mean, honestly, you don't really own anything. No one owns anything. Everything. I'm gonna be quiet about that. That's a whole different thing.
Exactly. But
it was just be careful with people, and that's another thing. You'll have to be careful with people and stuff like that. And I was watching TikTok because I'm trying to stay up with the youth. Stay down with the young people, as it were.
Go with the
and all that. And they were interviewing 6ix9ine, right? And they were talking about all the drama that was going on with him and stuff like that. And he was talking about his side of the story, and I was listening to his side of the story. I was like, I could understand why he acts the way he acts a little bit. You know what I mean? I still wouldn't have borrowed that persona to begin with. If he was going to be like that, like, that's not the persona I would have went with. But I mean,
if
he came up in a time period where that was open, and like he was mentioning, like all the people he came up with, like a lot of those young guys that he came up with, a lot of the guys is dead. Pop Smoke, XXXTentacion, they're gone. He like the last one Mohican of his little
Group.
cohort
Yeah.
almost. Yeah. So like those cats are running around making big money from nothing, but they were running around like they was regular people. And they didn't have all that money. And that's how they wound up
You've exposed
not here no
yourself
more.
to a different element, forgetting that at the end of the day, people are jealous. I really wish we could play OJ's For the Love of Money right now.
Yeah.
Either that or Backstab was one of the two.
Oh, that's
They
a good one.
smiling
You're right.
in your face.
Your face.
So yeah. So with that said,
was a good one too.
so with that said, Brother Wolf, you have anything else you want to add?
No, brother, I think it's closing time.
Rev Ross, we good?
We try to be, but we fail often.
That's why we go ahead and buy the corporation and the government and the hookers and the coke and the lottery corporation.
Maybe a small little island.
That was the
Like-
best Bill Cosby impersonation I've seen you do in a
A
while.
part of like Hawaii. A small part of Hawaii.
No.
The one where it doesn't get bad tropical storms. It just has a nice breeze.
No, I would go New Zealand. I still have a crush on Lucy Lawless. See? So with
Fair.
that said,
That's fair.
this is YMB College closing out for the Benchmark Podcast. Hopefully taught you something about how to manage with the lottery, and hopefully your ideas are something close to mine. But this is,
Brother Wolf.
and we also have with us,
Rev Ross.
so Collins out, guys. Make sure if you do win the lottery, you go ahead and be safe with your earnings. Talk to you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Benchmark Podcast, a product of Benchmark Media, LLC. We would like to remind our listeners that the views and opinions expressed in this review are strictly the views and opinions of each individual and does not reflect the stance of Benchmark Media. Any opinion stated is not to be construed as professional advice or help. Our intro and outro music is Acid Trumpet by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons. Remember to contact us at The Real Benchmark Podcast at gmail.com or our website, www.therealbenchmarkpodcast.com. You can follow us on social media on Facebook or Instagram. And if you'd like to be a friend of the show, you can donate to us via our PayPal and buy Collins a drink.